Hello everybody, this is The Exception, and once again, I am back with NPA Season 4. So, I'm very excited to be coming back. This is my draft analysis. We're going to go into the team that I drafted and why I drafted it. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and talk about what I was thinking going into the draft, which is basically, I want to do something different. I want to be very offensive and very fast in this draft. I want Pokemon that are going to destroy people. You know, I don't want to have dedicated walls. I don't want to build the defensive team like I usually do. When I'm building a team, I usually try to draft Pokemon that can wall out other Pokemon. I play very defensive matches. I bring very defensive cores. That is basically my goal when I try to play in draft leagues. And it's worked out okay for me, but I've never really gotten past a neutral record of like 6-6 or 6-7 or 7-6. That's kind of like where I land each season, and maybe it's because of my play style. Maybe I'm holding myself back. You know, by playing so defensively, people are able to read me a little bit better. The thing I like about playing defensively is that I feel like it's easier to make predictions of your opponent's moves. You know, maybe if you can't guess exactly what they're going to go for, you can guess, okay, you know, that's a Mega Venusaur. It most likely is going to be specially offensive, or it's going to be defensive in some way. It's not going to have, like, Earthquake or, you know, some other physical move. So I can switch into a specially defensive mon, probably. And I say probably because, of course, Mega Venusaur could be run with Earthquake or some very physically offensive moves. But you get my point. It's a little bit easier, I think, to make predictions on the defensive side. But I really wanted to change it up and see if I could do something offensively this time around. Going into the draft, I was thinking, really want Tapu Koko, #1 overall. That is what I want. But at the 12th pick, I knew it probably wasn't going to make it back to me. So my secondary plan was Mega Lopunny. Mega Lopunny, extremely fast Pokemon. I believe its base 135 speed, has base 145 attack, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me. But very fast, very hard-hitting Pokemon. It gets Fake Out, gets High Jump Kick, and it gets, what's it called? It gets Return. So all of those are stab moves, and it would have been a great Pokemon to have. Unfortunately, right before it is in the cusp of my hands, right before it can be put up on the draft board for everybody to see, Luxrays draft Mega Lopunny. King Bub takes it. The pick before me. This man took it. He took it from me. I'll remember it, Bub. I will remember it. I believe we play week 2. And I will remember what you did. So, my tertiary option, I guess, not secondary, tertiary, was to go Rain. And I had been thinking about this and talking about this with my AC. I thought, you know what? Rain Pokemon, very fast in the rain. They are very heavy hitting. Let's do it. You know what? If I lose Tapu Koko and if I lose Mega Lopunny, let's go Rain. I was thinking, I really want to take Tornadus T to begin with, or I want to take Thundy T. Both do very well in the rain. Thundy T is a very good Z move user, which I really like. Z moves are unrestricted in this league, which means that you know, it's not locked into a single Pokemon. So having a good Z move user is very important, but I also have various other options to use Z moves as well, which would be cool. So I really wanted one of those two. And I was thinking I could take those, and then, you know, later in the draft I could take Politoed if Pelipper gets taken. Basically, Pelipper and Politoed are the only two rain setters that you can draft. Well, the only two with Drizzle, anyway. You know, of course, there are other rain setters. You know, you have Thundy Eye gets Prankster. It can set up rain with Rain Dance. Sableye gets Prankster, set up rain. Whimsicott, also Prankster and rain. You got a whole bunch of other support mons that can set up Rain Dance. It's not a huge deal, you know, if you can't get Pelipper. That was kind of my thoughts. But my AC was saying, no, don't do that. You don't want Politoed. You really do not want Politoed. If you are going to do Rain, he said, you want Pelipper. And, you know, when he said that, I said, I mean, if I take Thundy T right now, though, or Tornadus T, is Pelipper really going to make it back to me? You know, I'm the 12th pick, so there's 24 more picks before it gets back to me. And of those 12 people, none of them have picked yet. So really, what if they wanted rain? All they have to do is take Thundy T or Tornadus T, whichever one I do not choose, and then take Pelipper when it comes back to them, and then they have the rain team, and I am stuck with garbage. So I went ahead and I took Pelipper round 1. Pelipper went round 1 last year, so it's not that, it's not that shameful, I don't think, to have taken Pelipper round 1. Although a lot of people seem to think it was. It might be the most controversial pick of this draft, to be honest with you. And I'm glad I took it. I do not regret it one bit. I wanted to get a rain team. I knew what I wanted going into this. Taking Pelipper means that, if somebody wants to take Politoed and Swampert, they have to commit to rain right away. That is what that means. Because if they don't, then I can take it on the way back, and they don't get rain. If I take Mega Swampert and have Pelipper, because then they're stuck taking suboptimal rain mons, and then they also have to take Politoed. So that was my thought process taking Pelipper this early. I kind of knew at this point that it was going to be hard to get all the mons I wanted because I took Pelipper so early. But at least I kind of get to do what I want, which I'm excited to do here. For my second pick, I kind of had a few thoughts in mind. Like I said, had Tornadus T and I had Thundy T. But Papa C went ahead and took Tornadus T right after he took Tapu Fini in round 1. So I was kind of thinking, maybe this guy wants to build a rain team. Tapu Fini, Tornadus T, they can both do pretty well in rain. Politoed's still on the board, and Mega Swampert's also still on the board. So really, if he wanted rain, that would suck for me. And going into my next pick, I really wanted Thundy T. That was going to be my next pick. But 2 to 3 picks before me, of course, Mr. Under the Radar, Kelly, took Thundy T. And I don't blame him one bit. It's a very, very awesome, very useful electric type Pokemon. Like I said, does very well with Z moves, gets Volt Absorb, so doesn't have electric, doesn't get hit by electric attacks, which is very nice and would have been great on a rain team. But he took it. And so I'm thinking, well, crap. I mean, I don't know what to do. I really did not know what to do at this point, because those are really what I wanted. And after I took Pelipper in round 1, Dan said, man, you are going to regret if you do not get Mega Swampert. And so that was kind of in my mind. He wasn't trying to bait me into taking Mega Swampert or anything, I don't think. But it happened. It happened, and I ended up taking Mega Swampert in round 2. I took it because there were still 12 people in front of me, or 11 people, I guess, in front of me, that could build a rain team. It's only the second round, so they still have their second pick to make, and then they also get their third pick before it gets back to me. What if one of them takes Mega Swampert and Politoed? Elliot's sitting there with Tapu Koko. So if he were to take Tapu Koko, and then take Mega Swampert and Politoed, all of a sudden he has a great rain team. Great electric type Pokemon for a rain team. I thought it was unlikely that he would go for rain, but still, it was in my mind that I should probably grab Swampert right away. Just get the rain set, get the rain solidified for this team. That way I don't have to worry about, somebody else taking Mega Swampert down the road or screwing with me in some way. So I got the rain set. I got Pelipper, got Mega Swampert. My next pick has to be my electric type Pokemon. All right. Thundy T, gone, but it is what it is. My backup options are Zapdos, Raikou, Thundy I. I kind of wanted Raikou. Wasn't set really on that pick yet. I was kind of like, you know what? Whichever of those 3 makes it back to me, I'm going to pick it. They're all very good electric type Pokemon, but they all do various different things. They all get Volt Switch. They're all very fast. And the only thing different is that Zapdos is kind of a more defensive Pokemon, whereas Thundy I and Raikou, I believe, are a bit more offensive. Thundy I especially. So when I was thinking about drafting here, I was thinking I really do want to go more offensive. I don't want to play the defensive game, and I feel like if I drafted Zapdos, it would put me into a more defensive mindset. So I didn't want to take Zapdos. And the pick before me, Bub went and took Raikou. which was unfortunate. But Thundee was still on the board, so I went with Thundee. Again, not my first choice. I know it's not the best Pokemon for the Rain team, but it is still a very good, very fast Electric-type Pokemon. It gets all of the same moves as Thundee, so still has the same type of Z power. Its special attack just isn't as high as Thundee. It has a higher speed stat, which is nice. Gets the Prankster ability, which means I can set off Prankster T-Waves and slow down my opponents, which is really nice. Things like Mega Lopunny, for example, Bub, watch out. Might get T-Waved, might get Prankster T-Waved. So that's kind of my thoughts on this. I wanted it because it was fast. It also gets Prankster. Something also fun about it is it gets Defiant, which means that if its stats are lowered, then it gets +2 attack. If any of its stats are lowered, it gets +2 attack. So things like Defog users now have to kind of worry about that. Maybe I have Defiant Thundee this week, which means if they defog and I lose -1 evasion, all of a sudden I got a +2 Thundee on the board, which is kind of scary to think about. Also means that Pokemon like Alolan Persian, which Kelly drafted later on in the draft, has to worry about Parting Shot, because if he goes for a Parting Shot, I have a +3 Thundee on the board, which is even worse because Parting Shot lowers its special attack by 1, or its attack by 1, so it's +3 net. Anyways, those are my thoughts for Thundee. I think it'll be a really fun Pokemon to use, especially on a Rain team. The only thing I'm really worried about building up right now is my Electric weakness. I know I kind of also have an Ice weakness, but I'm not super worried about that. I can cover that later on with things. But the Electric weakness is kind of annoying, and I really do wish I had Thundee for that dang Volt Absorb. But it is what it is. Just got to move on. Hopefully I can cover that somewhere else down the line. My next Pokemon now, like I said, I'm thinking about just leaving the Rain mons. I've solidified Rain. Mega Swampert and Pelipper are mine. So most likely, people are not going to be taking things like Kingdra, Ludicolo, Kabutops, other types of Swift Swim users, other types of Rain abusers. Most of them are going to stay on the board because they're not going to be very useful to other teams unless they want to go ahead and take Politoed and build like some kind of suboptimal Rain team, which is still a possibility, but I think it's a little bit unlikely at this point. The only person I'm kind of worried about is Papa C, because he's been sitting over there building some type of Rain-looking team without any Rain. And it kind of worries me, the Pokemon that he's been choosing. So I don't really have anything to worry about except for him. So I go ahead and I take Bronzong. And Bronzong, I definitely took it early. But my thoughts were, you know what? I don't have to worry about my Rain mons going. They are my higher tier picks. I can go ahead and dip into the lower tiers a little bit and get some of them before they start going. So if I take them early, I get the better tier 4 picks, and I also don't really have to worry too much about my higher tier picks going because they only fit on Rain teams for the most part. So I took Bronzong. Does very well in the Rain. It gets Levitate and Heat Proof as its abilities. Probably run Levitate most weeks because I have the Rain to cover the Fire weakness. Not a huge deal. It gets Screens, which I'm always tempted to use Screens. Anytime I go to build a team, I'm tempted to run Light Screen, Reflect, and Light Clay. That is what I do. Every week, every time I have a defensive Pokemon with dual screens, I consider running it. Usually don't, because it makes it easier to predict, it makes your opponent's, building a little bit easier, because then they think, okay, well, I got to bring Brick Break, I got to bring Rapid Spin, Rapid Spin doesn't break it. They got to bring Defog, but you get my point. They got to bring some kind of move to get rid of the screens, and it's easier to prep for if you know it's coming every week. So it's just an option. It's something to put on there. It's also kind of a defensive Pokemon, but it does get some very offensive moves. It gets Flash Cannon, Shadow Ball. It's a very useful support Pokemon. Before I took this, I was really considering taking Forretress because it gets Volt Switch. I believe it also gets U-Turn, but it gets a move where it can get some pivot momentum. So I think Forretress would have been a better pick here, but it was taken at this point, which kind of sucks. So I went with Bronzong. Very excited to use it, though. I've always wanted to use it in draft format, just never had the chance. So we'll see how that goes. My next pick, though, I was kind of thinking I want a Pokemon that kind of covers, uh, my grass typing. I want a grass type Pokemon because it helps cover the water type Pokemon a little bit. I'm not necessarily going to have a fire, grass, water core, but having a grass type Pokemon as an option is very good, especially in rain. So, because it covers the fire type weakness. So, one of the most powerful grass type Pokemon I could think of was still on the board. The only problem is I remember way back when I was watching one of Kelly's videos for the PPL, and he was saying that he drafted a rain team in the PPL, by the way, which is why I'm bringing this up. But I watched his draft analysis video because I wanted to kind of see what I should pick here, or give me some ideas of what I should pick, not necessarily build the same team, of course. So he was saying that he wanted a grass type with recover rather than synthesis because, synthesis only heals up 25% in the rain rather than 50% out of rain. So if he had recover on a Pokemon, then, you can heal up even in the rain. So he had Celebi on his team, and I think he was kind of worried about me taking Celebi here, to be honest, because he's like, Ryan, I'm kind of worried you're going to take the Pokemon I want next. But I had Bronzong, so I was thinking I really don't want another shared weakness already on the team. I don't want dark type weakness. I already have electric weakness. I already have some ice weakness. I don't want double dark type weakness as well. So I really didn't want to take Celebi. The Pokemon I had in mind was actually Shaman. It is a very powerful Pokemon. It can be run a few different ways. Because it has base 100 stats across the board, you can run it specially offensive. You could run it physically offensive, possibly. You can run it as speedy. You can run it very bulky. You have a few different options there. But my favorite thing about Shaman is that it is very hard to wall out. Whenever I've played against Shaman, there's only a few Pokemon. There's like Emboar, Shaman, Snorlax. Those are the big three that I think about that are just such a big pain to play defensively against. Because if you play defensively against any of them, they will squash you. Emboar has just a great move set, with its reckless ability and with a choice scarf. If you don't know what move it's going to go for, if you cannot predict it right, it will wreck your life. Shaman kind of also has this, except you know what's coming. You know the Seed Flare is coming. The thing is, even if you switch in a Pokemon that resists a Seed Flare, it's still going to take 10 to 20% possibly from the Seed Flare. Shaman is just that powerful, and Seed Flare is just that good of a move. You kind of have to hope it misses. And then another thing about Seed Flare is that it gets a 40% chance to drop the target's special defense by 2 stages. 40% chance. Absolutely insane. You have to beat this thing offensively, or you have to hope that it misses a Seed Flare. That is basically how you take down Shaman, because otherwise Shaman is going to run all over you. It just hits buttons. It just hits Seed Flare and wrecks lives. It doesn't care if you want to switch in, a Pokemon that resists it. It doesn't care if Tangrowth is coming in. Tangrowth is still going to take a lot. And then if I'm also carrying HP Ice or HP Fire, it's going to do a lot more to that Tangrowth. You can switch in a Steel-type Pokemon, and it's going to take a lot from whatever move you throw at it. And plus, it gets Earth Power. So it's just a very good Pokemon, and I'm very excited to use it. You just hit things with it. It's just so powerful. And I'm excited to use it, honestly. I've wanted Shaman for a while. I'm glad I don't have to play against it. Joe has drafted it the past couple years, I believe. Maybe just last year or the year before. I don't quite remember exactly, but I know when he drafted it, he said he did it because he hates playing against it. So, unfortunately, we don't play him, so he doesn't have to prepare for it. But it is something I hate playing against, too. And I'm glad I got it, and I'm going to hopefully wreck some lives with it. My next pick, I'm starting to think, all right, I probably need to start taking some Rain Mons. Still looking at Papa C's team over there, and he's still building up some Rain Mons. He's got, like, Goodra. He's got Tapu Fini. Got Torn T. Really, all he has to do is pick up Politoed at any second, and all of a sudden, it's very obvious he has a Rain team. Just looking at his team, I think, there is rain going on over there. There is something suspicious that I don't like. And you know what? He's going to take Politoed, and then he's going to take, like, Kingdra or Ludicolo, and then he's going to try to screw me over. So I'm very worried about what he's picking. And I'm thinking, I really need to go for those Rainmons. But I hold off. Hold off a little bit. And I go with Zoroark as my next pick. Zoroark might have been taken a little bit early again, but it's a very good Tier 4 Pokemon. Gets the Illusion ability. And I can disguise this thing as any one of these Pokemon here, except for Pelipper, of course. Because if it comes in, obviously it's not going to set the rain because it doesn't have Drizzle, its ability. But I can disguise it as Thundee-Eye. I can disguise it as Mega Swampert or Shaman. And it will just do work because people have to worry, you know what, is this Zoroark coming at me or is this a Mega Swampert? If you do not know, if it hasn't lost any HP yet, then you have to consider it could be either of them, and you kind of have to play around that. And I think it's a very weird dynamic to have to worry about. So I'm very excited to see how this works, especially on this team. But I have some plans for it, and hopefully they work out well. But now I'm thinking, all right, I have played around a little bit too much. I've taken now 3 picks in a row that are not really related to rain. These picks do okay in rain, but they are not, you know, rain type mons. And eventually I cannot just have Pelipper and Mega Swampert on the team. I got to choose something else. And before Papa C goes and picks it from me, I'm going to go ahead and take Kingdra. Took Kingdra, that way I was settled. If Kingdra was the only other rain Pokemon I got, I would have been happy. Honestly, Kingdra just does so well in the rain. Gets Swift Swim, of course. It also gets the Sniper ability, so you can run some very cool but probably a little bit annoying set, which you know, critical hits basically every time. All you have to do is run like Focus Energy and Sniper ability, and then if you get that set up, if your opponent is not prepared, all of a sudden every hit you land is a crit, and that can be very hard to deal with. It also gets Dragon Dance, so if you can set up a few Dragon Dances while in the rain, you can go ahead and outspeed even outside of the rain, which also gives it the option to run some physical moves. So you can run Waterfall and Outrage over like Dragon Pulse or Draco, or Scald or Hydro Pump. So I have a few different options. The only unfortunate thing about Kingdra is that it doesn't really have a lot of coverage moves. It pretty much is Water, Dragon. You can run an HP, a Hidden Power or something, but it really doesn't have a whole ton of options, which is kind of disappointing. But again, it hits very hard and it's very fast in rain. So very glad I got it. We'll have to see how that works out. My next pick, Kabutops. At this point, I wanted one more Rainmon, I think. You know, I don't want to have a full team of Rainmons because then, of course, you know, people can just bring Electric type Pokemon or Grass type Pokemon. You know, you don't have to guess exactly what they're going to bring. You know they're going to bring something that's weak to those moves. So it's a little bit easier. It's a little bit too easy to prep for, I think, in my mind, if you draft too many Rainmons. So I really wanted to get something that worked well in rain. I wanted to get a Rapid Spinner, and what I had on my mind was Tentacruel. But Tentacruel went either the round before me or just before it got back to me. I don't quite remember. But it went like pretty close to where I wanted to take it. I wanted Tentacruel because it gets Rapid Spin, and it's also a Poison type, which means it'll soak up any Toxic Spikes. Which is kind of unfortunate that Kabutops isn't, because that means Toxic Spikes are going to poison it before it can Rapid Spin them away. Which is kind of annoying. But it also has a decent attack stat. It gets Swift Swim, so it's very fast in the rain. So it has a few different options, and I'm excited to use it as well. It's a very good rain Pokemon. In the rain, anyway. Outside of the rain, it's a little too frail. Not that fast. So we'll have to see how that works out. But it does get Rapid Spin, and I'm glad to have a Rapid Spin user because I have 2 Defog users in Thundee-Eye and in Pelipper. But that is all I have to remove hazards except for this with Rapid Spin. So, you know, that should be enough. Hopefully people aren't trying to set up too many hazards on me. But we'll see how that goes. Going into these last few picks here, I kind of just want to find some Pokemon that round out the team a little bit. Not necessarily fit the theme fully, you know. But one Pokemon that I didn't want that was still on the board, something that I said earlier in this draft video that it's very hard to plan against. Snorlax. Snorlax, I really hate prepping against it. I don't know if I've ever won a battle against a team that has Snorlax on it. Just because even if it doesn't come, it's hard to prep against. You have to have a very strong fighting type move. It can rest up on you. It has the gluttony ability, so it can use berries. It can use recycle. It has a few different options for it. I mean, the main thing is that it can be very specially defensive, which I didn't necessarily want to go for, but it does give me the option to be a little bit defensive in this league here. And it also has Curse, and Curse lacks such a pain to prep against. I mean, if you let this thing set up on you, if the wrong Pokemon is in on it and it hits Curse, you're going to have some trouble. Because it raises its defense and its attack by one stage. If you don't have like a fighting type or a strong fighting type on your team with physical moves, it's going to be very hard to take down Snorlax. Because it'll just rest up on you. And it can run Sleep Talk. And it can, it can also run a berry to wake up from sleep. So there's a few different options there, and it's very hard to plan against it, in my opinion. At least I've always had trouble against it. So I'm glad I got it on the team. It gives me a few different options for what I can run each week. And after this, I kind of wanted something to pair with it. Something that I thought would go nice would be a fighting type. And Mienshao is still on the board. There's a few different fighting types, but Mienshao was what I was mainly looking at because it gets U-turn. It also gets Regenerator, so if it gets hit by something, if it gets hit by rocks, if it comes in on rocks or toxic spikes or something else and it loses a little bit of health, no big deal. It U-turns out and all of a sudden it has all its health back. So that's kind of what I wanted to go with, but my AC talked me out of it again, and he told me, hey man, Heracross is still on the board. Heracross is a very good value pick, so I took Heracross. And I don't know exactly how I feel about it, but it is a very strong fighting type, and it also gets bug moves. So Mega Horn, close combat, stuff like that. You can throw a Choice Scarf on it. If your opponent's mons aren't very fast, you could throw a Choice Band. I do have Bronzong, which gets Trick Room, so I could run a Trick Room team maybe, possibly, and maybe not bring Rain one week or something, and bring Trick Room with Kingdra, with Sniper, with Mega Swampert, with Shaman. Well, I could have to bring, like, I don't know how slow I could get Shaman there. I don't know, but you get the point. I could run some different things on this team here. But, I mean, most likely it'll be Scarfed, or it'll have, like, some other move, just, as, like, a revenge killer or something. But, I'm very excited to use it. It gives me some bug options, which is nice. And, for my last pick, I really had no idea what I wanted to go with here, other than I kind of wanted something that could take electric hits, and I wanted something that could possibly take grass hits. So something like that had Volt Absorb or Sap Sipper, and right in the middle of Tier 5, something that has both of them. Zebstrika. But alas, right before I took Heracross, Zebstrika had gotten taken. So it was kind of off the board, which really sucked. That would have been so nice if I would have had a Pokemon with Sap Sipper and with Lightning Rod. That would have been great. I could have taken electric type hits or grass type hits. I mean, obviously I can't run both in the same week, but it gives me the option to run one week and then one the next week, depending on if I think my opponent's going to bring some more grass moves or more electric moves. So that would have been a great pick. But instead, I get stuck with Togedemaru. And I say stuck because I really don't think it's that great of a Pokemon. The only reason I chose it was because I didn't know what else to take. And in Tier 5, it was pretty much the only electric absorbing Pokemon that I could grab. And it gets Lightning Rod, I believe. So it gets +1 special attack if it gets hit by an electric type move. Not that great. Honestly. I kind of wish I had taken Electivire, but that would have been a Tier 4 pick, and it would have taken up the free pick that Heracross took, which wouldn't have been good. So I'd still have to take a Tier 5 anyway. So I took Togedemaru, and I don't know how often I'll bring it, but I figure it's a fun option. It's kind of like, it's kind of that thing that'll come to a couple matches just for memes, just to be a little bit funny. It's not really there to be serious. Maybe towards the end of the year, if I haven't secured playoffs, like usual, I'll bring it to a match and just have some fun with it. Or maybe if I ball out this season and I secure playoffs early, I'll bring it to the match just to mess with my opponent. Maybe give them a little bit of an easier win. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But that's the team for Season 4 of the NPA, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys on Saturday for Week 1. We have an amazing match going up versus Kelly Under the Radar. Definitely go check it out, guys. It's going to be a good one. I got some good sets built. You guys will enjoy it, I promise. See you guys there.